Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormie Grace, here with your weekly horoscope for the week of March 13th. And you guys, please buckle in with me this week. We do have a little bit to talk about. Not only do we have Mars actually coming out of its post-retrograde shadow energy, so preparing to make its way out of Gemini, which tells us that between the 15th of this month and the 25th, things are going to start happening quickly. Information comes very, very quickly. You may be inundated with information, but this week, particularly thinking about the fact that that is coming, one of the things I want to bring your attention to immediately is that there is misinformation or potentially a lack of clarity of information that you can also be dealing with that speed of things that is coming. So it is a week where I'm going to tell you, buckle in with me because we want to talk about paying attention. All right, you guys, before we jump in and talk about what's happening this week, please remember that you can still get your Astrology 101 and 102 digital classes on sale, $25. So that's 12 hours of astro learning that is available for you in the description box down below, and it will be on sale until May. And also grab your digital transit calendar so you can see exactly day by day, exactly at this time, what's happening for you with a $17 off coupon. And last thing is we will be going to Norwalk. It's almost time to go to Norwalk in May, and this year you can go online or come in person. I am thrilled and honored that this year I'm actually going to be the keynote speaker for the Saturday night dinner, so I would love for you to join us, no matter how you're coming, whether it's online or in person, okay? And if you do need scholarships or financial help, there's also information at the Norwalk website, which will be in the description box down below, to help you get there and join in the astro goodness. All right, beautiful friends. So this week, kicking off, we're coming in on Monday. And first of all, early in the day, we're coming in still with the moon transiting through that energy of Scorpio, which is deep and it is intuitive, and the moon is in fall in the energy of Scorpio. So it's almost like too deep is how it can be. But where I think it's really strong for us coming into the week is it's tying you maybe into something that you are deeply committed to, something you're deeply passionate about, or you have a deep emotion or a deep connection to it. I think connection is the best word because it's kind of like listen, I'm going to just say it. My spiritual teacher always asks me, especially when I've got a deep emotion going in one direction, or I see a person and they emote a deep reaction from me. She's like, what's owning your ass this week? So as we're coming in to the beginning of the week, I'll ask you, what's kind of got your attention? What's got you focused? And it doesn't mean that it's negative, okay? But what has got your attention that this Scorpio energy is bringing your focus into, and you're exploring that, you're moving with that. It's intuitive, it moves from your core. So kind of trust what's going on there, but also be willing to explore it because information about that may be rolling out as we travel through the rest of the week, okay? Now, later in the day, on Monday, we're going to come out of the depth of that Scorpio energy into a void of course time. So, of course, in void of course, we're going to rest, rejuvenate, restore, review, revise what's been going on. It's a nice, slow time. So remember, there's more time to rest than we usually give ourselves credit for. After that, the moon is going to slide into the energy of Sagittarius. So instead of being, in and down and deep, now we're up and out, and we want to explore and expand our horizons and seek new truths, explore new truths. I thought it had to be this or this. I was thinking very black and white when the information was coming through Scorpio lens, right? And now it's like, what's the creative third option that could be available that I didn't even think about because it was above my horizons, or I had to venture out to new information. I had to be willing to speak a foreign language, which sometimes speaking a foreign language can just be seeking to understand the person that is talking to you instead of demanding to be understood, okay? So whatever the change of language or truth that comes to you while the moon is traveling through Sagittarius, I want you to think of it as like kind of the universe opening up within you a new pathway of adventure, a new pathway to get something done or to have information come to you that is different than the way you would have maybe thought that it would be working. But I do want you to stay in a position where you're kind of like, okay, I will explore this information. I will travel with it. I'll see what the information means. It is not an energy that I would tell you that every piece of information you're going to get is something to be taken as truth. I mean, actually, you might find yourself feeling a little bit confused. The moon is still going to be under pressure all week long from different aspects. So this can create a little bit of emotional confusion, okay? Now, when we roll into Tuesday is, I think, the most challenging day of this week. But remember, you trust your intuition before you trust me, okay? So first and foremost, on Tuesday, what we're working with is we have got Mars coming into a square with Neptune. And now when these two square up against each other, we just get chaos, right? We get a confusion about what I should be doing. Mars is also vibrating with a willingness and an excitement to come out of its post-retrograde energy and move forward. Mars, our planet of action, has been in kind of a holding pattern for 7 months. So truly, this energy is vibrant. Mars is in Gemini. It's squaring Neptune over in Pisces. It's got a lunar T-square that is happening. So truly, at an emotional level, you may be a bit confused, or there's a lack of clarity, or sometimes it can just be flat out manipulation, of information that is going on. So I would tell you on Tuesday, move cautiously, not fearfully. I want you to move cautiously, not fearfully. Question what's going on around you. Question what you're doing, right? Just make a space to be more mindful of information that is being given and received, because it may not all be clear. Now, we're going to see this again in December. So please make note of this particular energy, because we'll see it again December 28th, and it is likely connected to information that you have received. I think we could even push back from Tuesday back up to about Wednesday or Thursday of last week. And what's information that was coming in for you? Was there something unclear or something that was vague, and we're still looking at it, but the peak of it is going to be right here on Tuesday, okay? Now, what else do we have going on Tuesday, because it is a busy day? We've also got the last quarter moon rolling in. Okay, so in the last quarter, we're literally turning away from. Okay, we're turning away from things that we've been working on in this last 28-day cycle. We're turning away from things where it's like, okay, I don't need that anymore. I can wind that down. I am beginning to disengage from what I thought, how I felt, from the way things used to be, and preparing to move forward in a different way. And I really think, and I love this, they talk about this, Tiffany talks about this in the digital transit calendar. She gives you really great timing. That's why I think it's fantastic for you guys to have that in your toolbox, right? But you're also turning away from things that started 2.5 years ago. So what happened for you 2.5 years ago? Something was going on, and now you're getting an opportunity in the large lunar cycle to emotionally turn away from it. Get ready to put it down. See that, maybe you had a motive, or there was more power struggle behind that, or you were working on it and now it's starting to come to fruition, and you're like, okay, I can turn away from and start to disengage from how I was moving, and I was taking action on these things, right? So it's really kind of a beautiful energy, I think, to welcome in. Okay, on Wednesday, first of all, we're coming in with the moon moving into void of course as well. And so we're going to have void of course for about 4 hours on Wednesday. So please, really, as you're getting up, you're getting started early in your day, allow yourself some space for rest. And then we'll see the moon transition into the energy of Capricorn, which I love. It's cardinal earth, okay? But because it's earth and it's earthy, I think that there's some emotional peace or some emotional rest that can come with this. And it's also the position when the moon's in Capricorn where we start to go, okay, emotionally, what do I need to do to have myself organized? What do I need to do to manage my emotions? What do I need to do to begin something that has me on the right footing, right? Do I need to start a diet? Do I need to start a mental diet? Do I need to start an emotional diet? Do I need to grab my planner and look at what's going on in my life and where I can delegate resources, or where I need to get my resources together? Like, what emotionally brings you into alignment with yourself? Now, later in the day, we see the sun come into a conjunction with Neptune, and I love this. I love this aspect. And it's also one that I think can be challenging, just depending on how you experience it, okay? Now, to the love side, so artistic. Oh, it's artistic. It's beautiful. You can create with it. You can dance. I find a lot of healing for myself through dance and through movement and through singing. And you guys know that. I'm dancing around the internet all the time. And that's an expression for me of how I do healing, okay? So incredibly artistic. And I think that there is a place for like spiritual respite in this particular energy, where we find compassion and forgiveness for ourselves. We find compassion and forgiveness for other people. You find compassion and acceptance around that apology that you're probably never going to get, or the one that you're never going to be able to give. It's really that kind of energy. And if you're working very creatively, I think this is lovely. To the challenge side, that I think adds to some of the confusion going on this week, is that you can be too much, right? You're too forgiving. You're too into the music, the art, the dancing, so you're not actually working in reality. You're working outside of reality. So you're working in this place of the intangible, or the fantasy, or the story, and it's not going to help your reality. In fact, it'll take you further from it. So it can be an energy that is too much out of the realm of reality. And it can be somebody telling you something too, and you're like, I think of the person who gives too much, right? Because if somebody's just a taker all the time, this is not healthy. It's not in balance, right? But I think of this energy as the one of the giver. You're like giving too much. You're giving when you should actually be keeping some for yourself. So it's out of balance as well. And somebody's telling you something, and you're giving, trying to build a bridge for their pain so that they feel better, and you don't actually need to be doing that. You're giving somebody sympathy and getting on board with the story and co-signing whatever they've got going on, as opposed to empathy of understanding, yeah, we've all been there, it's still yours to handle. So you kind of need to look at your own world and see, how are you already showing up in this dynamic, but to know that it can create that bubble of confusion, okay, here on Wednesday. Now, late in the day and taking us through the rest of the week, we've got Mars moving out of post-retrograde shadow time. We have been waiting. Mars has been waiting. By the time we hit the 25th, Mars will officially get out of Gemini and into the energy of Cancer, which, trust you, me, and Mars are all excited for that to happen. But today's the day, you guys. Everything we have been experiencing up till now has only been the stuff we've been working on since August, okay? When Mars moved into the energy of Gemini. There's been no new stuff. It's all been this stuff. August until now. This is what we've been working on. And it can almost be this sense of pressure as well that we've been experiencing, especially over this last 4 weeks with Mars being here, where I can see it. The goal is right here, what I need to do, the information that came in, that I reviewed, that I went back over, it's right here, and I can't get to it, right? I can't go past this degree that Mars has got to come to as it leaves the post-retrograde shadow time. And so today is the day. Now, this is where I'm telling you, this next 10 days, Mars is have the vision of getting freed from the cage, right? So Mars now, with everything it's shown you, with all of that energy, is going to be ready to whip forward, and it's doing it in air. So lots of conversation, inundated with information, inundated with the text, inundated with the scam and the spam calls, lost the password, whatever. Right? Yes, now all of the contracts are coming in. Now all the clients are coming in. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, the information for the next 10 days will run wild, and I ask you to slow down. There's so much confusion this week in the air, and it can be stressful. Be mindful of what you're doing and the information that you are receiving. Question everything this week. All right, so when we get to Thursday, we're not out of the confusion bubble just yet. We're going to see Mercury come into a conjunction with Neptune, and this is great because it really does, again, it highlights the emotional and the intuitive intelligence. And I told you, information is going to start running forward. You really have to trust your intuition. You really, and Mercury in this Piscean energy, it's just the high factual intellect is not firing that way. It's the emotional and intuitive intelligence that you really have to lean into. So tap into yourself, right? Like tap in, what is that still quiet voice that guides each of us, especially when we can move the noise out of the way? What is it saying to you? Where is it guiding you? Where is it pulling your attention? Where is it telling you, ask some questions about this? Whatever that is, it's time to start doing that. And then later in the day, we're going to see that the sun actually sits into a square with Mars. Okay, so but Mars is ready to go, right? Mars is raring and ready to go. And the sun is also quite motivated. So as this square is happening, you have to think that the square is the 911. It's telling us you need to do something. And both of these energies are ready to do. But you might not be clear on what to do. So irritability can show up at this time where you're like, I'm restless. I need to be doing something. I need to be making some decisions. And I will tell you, patience will be your virtue under this particular energy. Something does need to be done. That's a fact. But slow down. Go to the intuition. And I want to be clear that whatever verb you do or you use or you enact, that pause, pausing, that's a verb. Wait. Breathe, research. These are verbs as well, because sometimes the thing you need to do for a minute is nothing. In partnership, I have learned my eyeballs off that sometimes I just need to shut my mouth, right? Like there are times where it is like, that is not going to help anything right now, right? So you have to examine these things, but I don't want you to miss out on the goodness and the richness that stop, wait, breathe, pause, review. These are verbs as much as buy, sell, trade, right? Like any of those things. So don't miss out on that particular energy, okay? Now later in the day, we are also going to see that Venus comes into a square with Pluto. So this is intense. I just think that by the time we get to Mars coming out of that post-retrograde shadow energy and everything starts running forward, the energies get very intense with an energy of I should be doing, right? And it is based a lot out of I'm feeling instead of just I'm intuiting. So this is where we run into some of this intensity as well with Venus being here. And Venus and Pluto coming together in this kind of square, sometimes you have to have a breakdown before you have a breakthrough. I have said that 100 times. Venus wants things, even over there in the energy of Aries, Venus wants things to be relatively peaceful, or Venus in Aries can be like, yes, I want to look peaceful, but also please do it my way. Right? Like it can be that, it can be a little competitive, it can be a little bit impulsive. And now it's squaring Pluto at this 29 degrees, who's vibrating to get into Aquarius. So there is this pressure, I think, of like, I've got to get out of this box. But there's a truth that is revealed when Venus and Pluto come into this dynamic square. It's like you cannot look good, but do it incorrectly and get credit for it. Do you know what I mean? You cannot have a good intention with what you're doing, but the motive behind it is not actually towards the greatest good. My spiritual teacher tells me all the time, you cannot save your butt and your face at the same time. So you have to be clear with what's the most honest thing that you're doing. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you showing up how you're showing up? Trying to look good as opposed to create change is not going to be useful. So again, this can be a little bit confusing, but I think that the Pluto-Venus energy is great for revealing our own truths. What is really going on here? Okay, and sometimes when the truth is revealed, it makes you mad and then it sets you free, right? So whatever that is this week, you might be getting a revelation around that. Later in the day on Thursday, we see Venus moving out of this Aries energy and moving into the vibration of Taurus. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. Peace. Peace. Venus comes home into home court territory. This is domicile energy, so Venus is genuinely working in full, beautiful, sensual, romantic, stable power at this particular time. So one of the things I would ask you to call to yourself is to take care of your senses. Take care of your five senses. Is your, touch, taste, feel, hear, see, experience. Are you creating lovely, delicious experiences for yourself around you? Do you have a consistent routine of beauty and pleasure in your life? Because these are important. We cannot say you just need to be financially or intellectually sound. Where is your beauty practice? Beauty is a ritual. What that means and looks like for you is differing for all of us, of course, but where is your consistency with some kind of beauty and sensual pleasure practice in your life? This is a great season moving all the way through April to have this experience of this question. Okay, now when we get to Friday, I do think that Friday is like, oh, who sang that song, you guys? It's right here on the tip of my mind and my tongue. The Just Got Paid. Friday night. Who sang that? Oh, it's right here. Anyways, I think that is the vibration of Friday. We see the sun and Mercury come into conjunction, so Cazimi, and this illuminates new information. And I feel like there's kind of a pressure relief that comes here. The information that you have, you're like, oh, like a revelation of knowing, like, oh, I have clarity. I get it. I see it. That is what that information meant. It wasn't this over here. Oh, okay, finally that contract's moving forward. Oh, when they lost my paperwork at the doctor's office, they found it. It's like there's a new information, a new blessing of clarity that comes. And I also think from the revelation of what has happened in the days previous, we have an understanding here in the intuitive, emotional space. It's like, that's what I was really doing, or that's what I was really afraid of. That's what, and also back up, go back to January 7th. What were you working on? What were you getting new clarity or information or beginning a conversation on? Because that's when we saw Mercury and the sun in conjunction before. So what was going on then? And then you'll be able to follow it into the next one, which we're going to see on May 1st. So allow the new blessing of clarity to come. As we get later in the day, we're going to see that void, of course, moon happen. And so we need to rest again. Rest before I know you just got paid and it's Friday night, but rest a little bit. And then we'll see the moon transition into the energy of Aquarius, which means we're going to move our emotions to the head, to the intellect, right? It's an air energy. So it's very much so you have to think how you feel, right? You have to talk out how you feel, what's going on for you. And one of the best ways to do that is an Aquarian style. Everything you've learned, sensed, felt, had revealed to you this week. Where are your friends? Where is your tribe? Where is some kind of collective conversation that you're being able to have? Where this is a great time. Every time that the moon transits through Aquarius, I would ask you to look at what you are training your internet algorithm to show you. Hear me say that again. What are you training your algorithm to show you? Because what's popping up for you is a lot of what you're looking at, what you're researching, right? So what are you training your algorithm to show you, even in terms of your technology? Is it something that's going to take you forward, right? Remember, Aquarius is futuristic. It wants to advance forward. It wants new information, wants to break out of what's been going on. It's happy to cooperate as long as it's an unconventional cooperation that does move us forward. So what are you training your algorithm to show you, even in terms of your technology? It's a great time to follow the sites, the pages, the creators who are bringing information that you think can really support you where you're at. And it's a great time to unfollow, unsubscribe, go through those emails and be like, I do not need another bottle of dog perfume. I don't, right? Like, unsubscribe, okay? You know what I mean? I just wanted the free PDF. Now unsubscribe. So really clean up your social spaces at this particular time as well, okay? Later in the afternoon on Friday, we're going to also see Venus come into a sextile with Saturn, and I absolutely love this because if you wanted to do long-term commitment, long-term planning, anything that has like long-term viability, whether it be a relationship or something around your finances, you know, maybe investing or banking or things like that. This is a really nice, solid energy that you can work with on Friday. And then as we get to the end of the day on Friday, we see Mercury, our messenger energy, moving into Aries. We've got the ruling planet of Aries moving full blast again, ready to go. So again, I'm telling you, first of all, the information is just going to come flying. It is coming quick, fast, furious, flying at you. Make sure you're going through the details, but there might be lots of paperwork. But also keep in mind that when Mercury is in the energy of Aries, we are quicker to make decisions. You know, you're lighter, you're thinking on your feet, you're not feeling like I need to evaluate everything forever, which is an interesting energy this week, right? But I think if you can wait, just like if you get information on Friday and you need to move forward with it, trust your instincts, trust your intuition. But if it's information that like you got on Wednesday or something like that, I would be a little bit more hesitant to just have that quick wit decision on it, that impulsive decision. But as Mercury's here in Aries and you get information, yeah, okay, be prepared to enact it, to make some decisions, you know, to initiate yourself, to initiate sharing information, especially new information with other people. And you can know that kind of the conversation is heading in a very forward, safely useful trajectory for the week, okay? All right, on Saturday, we're going to get later in the day and see Mercury in this nice sextile with Pluto. So as Mercury and Pluto come into a sextile, remember the sextile creates the pocket of opportunity, but then we intelligently take action on it. So this is a great time for problem solving, right? What is it that you got information on or that you've had the revelation on this week? Or was someone being manipulative this week and you're like, no, that's not going to work for me? Because you can always tell if there's manipulation in the water, because if you set up and hold a boundary, if you're being manipulated, the immediate thing that's going to come at you is anger, okay? So if you're kind of unsure, set up a boundary with a person, place, or thing in your life and watch what happens when you hold your boundary. Then you kind of have a very clear answer as to if there's manipulation in the water. And this goes vice versa, right? We're all out here learning lessons. So where are you in a manipulative state, or you've had a revelation and somebody here puts up a boundary to you and you're like, oh, and you kind of get an attitude about it, you know what I mean? And then you have a place where you can investigate, well, what was going on with me at that time? Now, I also think that this is a great energy this day for anything that has to do with developing your psychic, emotional intelligence, and intuitive intelligence sense. This is a great day because you can really get into the ushy-gushies of it, right? Pluto is very good for that. It's at that 29 degrees, so truly what you're working with is the best that Pluto has to offer. Now, as we're going to round out this week, you guys, and get to Sunday, we're skirting in with another void of course moon, and that void of course moon is about 5 hours. So it's really, truly Sunday, rest. Then we will see the moon enter into the energy of Pisces to finish out our week. So again, it's a very restorative kind of moon as we come around. Rest, rejuvenate, restore, get into your spirituality. What are the subtleties of your soul, of your mind, right? It's a great day to swim in the healing Pisces waters of your emotions. Again, pour to yourself cups and cups and cups of forgiveness and compassion and love and joy and acceptance in who you are, how you're made. Check in the partnership with your body. Look at your dream life. Have you checked in with your guides lately? Or do you have guides in a guidance system who are all over there wiggling their thumbs because you haven't asked for help in a long time? And you'll know, because when we're not tapping into the universal guidance that we're given that is waiting to help us, we're so exhausted that it's like, I just need one more cup of coffee, or I just need an energy drink, or I just need to do this and then I'll have enough energy for. No, ask. Ask your guides, ask the guidance system for help. That's actually the way that it was designed. So today's a great day to get into that and kind of be with the flow. And also dance, go watch Avatar 2, see a fantasy movie. You know, I talked last week about Moana, but do you need some Encanto in your life? You know what I just watched again? The Sword and the Stone. I really like Merlin. Merlin is such a good guide for me. So whatever also gets you into the space of the fantasy and the play that helps bring the spiritual concepts of life together, I think is a phenomenal way to end this week. Yet again, though, this is a moon that is in Neptunian energy, so I want you to just be mindful of the information that you are receiving, just to make sure that it is solid, it is grounded, and it is true, okay? All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, I love you a ton. Grab all of your goodies in the description box down below. Like this video, comment, share, subscribe. I love you, and I'll see you next week.